Midday, hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the Citi Prime News. We're coming to you live from our studios at number 11, Dr. Martin Lupin at Abraka, Accra. I am Ajuatin Kramadomna. Coming up. Parliament Special Committee begins probe into chaos during vetting of ministerial nominees. Will bring you live updates from the sitting, also coming up. Member of Parliament for Damongo Samuel Jinapor denies making derogatory comment against Clote Kole MP as political analysts demand investigations into comment.
And I believe the Parliamentary Privileges Committee will be an appropriate committee to be able to investigate some of these issues and make sure that the appropriate penalties are executed.
Well, stay with us for details of these and more stories. But currently, the special committee that has been set up by the Speaker of Parliament to investigate the chaos that ensued during the vetting of ministerial nominees last Thursday has begun its sitting. Currently, the chairman of the Appointments Committee is testifying. Let's cross over now and listen to him.
Now the number became 8, and at a meeting we've decided that if on average we have to use 2 hours on one person, then that would have been 16 hours of sitting. It would have been too much, given the fact that some people may be vetted within 1 hour. We agreed to do the first 6. First, it was the first 5. Then I received a call from Honorable Minority Leader that he is okay, we can add a candle to be taken on that day. Therefore, 6 people were programmed to be taken. Then there was an agreement that the backlog, being the 2, should be added to the following day, which is Friday. And if we are not able to exhaust, then we can take a decision whether we are coming on Saturday or it should be Monday or Tuesday. In fact, this has also brought in Honorable Mahama Ayarega, the leader of the House. And he even came out to say that clearly we need to negotiate the Saturday because Saturday is not a working day. So therefore, if you are not able to finish on Friday and we cannot come on Saturday, then probably Monday or Tuesday will be the next available date. So I was surprised that in the morning of that Thursday, the clerk came to me to say that instead of what we have agreed upon, she has received a text message from the minority whip in the person of Anodompre, which text message she showed to me that we are only going to do 4. That is why I have a difficulty. You agree on one thing, then behind you want to do another thing. I wasn't comfortable. So I just told the clerk that whatever we agreed upon, that is what we are going to do. So on that Thursday, we had programmed to start the first person at 9 o'clock. I came to office around 8:30. About 8:45, I received a call from the assistant clerk to the effect that he had received a call from Honorable Anodompre that there will be a caucus meeting of the minority. Therefore, instead of 9 o'clock, we should again start proceedings at 10 o'clock. For me, as a member of Parliament, you may not have control over a caucus meeting. So when they are going to have a caucus meeting, I have no problem about it. So I have decided to walk to the chamber. Then on my way to the chamber, I met few MPs from the minority side and asked, I understand you are having a caucus meeting. Are you not attending the caucus meeting? Only for me to be told that there was no caucus meeting. So 10 o'clock, I have decided to start the vetting. And when they walk in after I have started, I told them in a plain language that I do not like the seat. We are all members of parliament. If you have a challenge of a caucus meeting, I would agree with you. But a situation where you do not have a caucus, but you deceive me in order to delay the proceedings of that day, to say that you have a caucus meeting, I won't take it kindly. And that is not the way we should be going. The response was that if they mean caucus meeting, it doesn't mean the entire minority caucus. As if I do not know the meaning placed on the caucus in our own standing orders. I took it in a good faith and we were proceeding. I was surprised after vetting the Minister for Transport. Based on the agreement, I asked the Minister designate for Health to take his seat. It was there that I realized that we are tired, we will not do Honorable Akando. Akando will not be vetted today in a very rowdy manner. Based on my posture, I was engaging the minority leader to the effect that you said you are comfortable for Akando to be taken today. What has changed? What really has changed? Mostly the response will be that it is not me, I am under pressure. It's not me, I am under pressure. I'm also a politician, I understand. So I was making an attempt to persuade them that in view of the fact that Honorable Akando had to bring the chiefs and opinion leaders from Juaboso, and he being the last person, there are instances where vetting of the committee will end at 10, 10:30, 11. And this is just getting to about 8 o'clock. So we could accommodate and take Honorable Akando for that day, so that the rest of the two will be shifted to the following day. And if we are not able to finish the following day, then we could consequently adjust ourselves and finish the following week. Then what I realized was that whilst that negotiation was ongoing, I heard the minority leader requesting that they should call some people into the vetting room. And in no time, they started walking to the vetting room. And that very day, minority leader was so harsh to the deputy, second deputy whip, Jerry Ahmed Shaib. I intend not to repeat the words inflicted on him that very day. So I realized that they were under some kind of instruction from their leader to do certain things. Honorable members of the committee, let me place on record that there are some instances where my ranking member will ask their side that they should all stand up and put on the microphone. And by putting on the microphone, all other microphones will be disabled. And you cannot do anything when all the microphones were on. So to some extent, I do not really understand what they want. Because, honorable members, by my level of tolerance and the way and the manner I have accommodated them, sometimes I do not expect it to be treated in a particular way. And as I said, life is about give and take. We were prepared to give and we were prepared to take. So I also expected them to also give and take. So before I could realize, somebody said something in tree, and they started pulling the cables, and I mean there was a pandemonium. The whole place became very hostile. And if you can watch the video carefully, I was so much surprised about the incidents of that day, and I was just sitting down looking at them. As usual, the honorable leader came in trying to restore order, but they wouldn't listen. And once the video accounts is before you, I intend not to repeat whatever happened, because the video would speak louder than my voice. I thank you so much for giving me the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Bernard. I hope I'm allowed to call you.
Yes, please.
Bernard, because I might forget myself if I always have to say second deputy speaker. Hey, first deputy speaker. Congratulations again on your high office.
Thank you.
It's finished. So, colleagues, if you have some questions for him.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Honorable First Deputy Speaker and Chairman of the committee. From the account that you have given, I think that there is a big problem about scheduling and then being firm about your scheduling. Would you want to agree with me that this whole problem came about as a result of the decision you took not to vet nominees who were scheduled for Wednesday, and you knew very well that these nominees had invited people, chiefs, their friends, their relatives, and whatnot. And yet, the committee was persuaded by the minority not to carry out vetting. And that is what actually created the congestion and the subsequent challenges that we have. I believe that.
Thank you very much for your question. I understand the impulse of your question. Honorable members, danger beget man. It is the cry of distress that will summon for relief. Our integrity as members of the committee were at stake. In the history of our Fourth Republic, every vetting cycle will be tagged with corruption. And I state corruptions and corruption-related matters. So for the committee to be tagged with corruption, which I know it is not true, any reasonable person guided by all those considerations that regulate the conduct of human affairs would agree that we should deal with the issue affecting our image before continuing the vetting. And honorable members, on that Wednesday, I was with the view that we should deal with the issues relating to Oliver Baker-Vomawo. Then we can continue the vetting. If we are not able to exhaust all of them that day, then the backlog will be very, very few. But the posture was not favorable. Remember, I told the committee that when our attention was drawn to the post on Tuesday, our friends from the minority have already taken a decision that there would be no vetting until that issue was resolved. That was the reason for me asking the committee to take a look at the proceedings on Tuesday, particularly the time that we had to start the vetting on Tuesday. A lot of negotiation had gone into continuing the proceedings even on that Tuesday.
So you heard that the chairman of the appointments committee today, he's taking the seat of a witness before the special committee that has been set to probe the chaos that happened before the committee during the vetting of ministerial nominees last Thursday. You're still listening to the Citi Prime News. Still ahead in the bulletin, Damongo MP denies making derogatory comments against Kole Klote MP. We'll bring you details of this and more stories shortly. Please stay.
Prime News at 12 midday. Update you on all the running stories and connect you to the newsmakers.
You're welcome back to the bulletin. Now, the head of the political science department at the University of Ghana, Professor Seydou Alidu, has backed calls for an investigation into comments directed at the Member of Parliament for Klote, Dr. Zaneto Ajiman Rawlings. Now, during a heated parliamentary session on Tuesday, a voice from the minority caucus was heard referring to the MP as, quote, daughter of a murderer, while asking her to resume her seat. Now, reacting to this incident, Professor Alidu Seydou urged Parliament to institute measures to curb such derogatory remarks, citing similar occurrences in the past.
I remember when Leader Seyram was sworn in, or when she was being sworn in, there were other remarks that followed in, the chant of bloody widow and all those things, which caused a whole lot of emotional stress to the Member of Parliament. What are the facts to guarantee that her father was a murderer? But even if indeed it's true, was she the one who killed the people? It was her father. So I don't think some of these things should be allowed to fester. And one of the ways that they can do is to maybe, I'm not sure the standing orders position on some of these things, but I do believe that there will be a provision that speaks to something like this. And I believe the Parliamentary Privileges Committee will be an appropriate committee to be able to investigate some of these issues and make sure that the appropriate penalties are executed. And that's not even the first time. I remember even yesterday in the session, the Honorable Minority Leader, Afenyo Markins, had to apologize to the clerk, to the appointment committee for comments that he passed. And I remember in the course of the apology, he even mentioned that he had.
Well, you heard the head of political science department at the University of Ghana, Professor Seydou Alidu. Meanwhile, the former Minister for Lands and Natural Resources and Member of Parliament for Damongo, Samuel Abdullah Jinapo, has denied making the comments. Now, speculation on social media suggested that he was responsible for the remarks. But in a statement, Samuel Jinapo said, and I quote, "I have and will not denigrate the Rawlingses in any form or shape, and any Ghanaian for that matter. That is not in my nature," as he described the allegations as completely false. We move on to some other stories now. Police have arrested 20 students of Salaga Senior High School in the East Gonja municipality following a shooting incident on the campus. According to school authorities, the altercation, which began as a verbal dispute between two groups of students on Saturday, escalated into physical violence. The police, upon being called in, retrieved a locally manufactured pistol from one of the students. Now, Citi News reports indicate that some students resisted the police intervention, but officers managed to restore order and apprehend those involved. As it stands, 17 of the arrested students have since been released, while 3 remain in custody to assist with investigations. Now, a fire broke out at the Kisiman Airways slum early this morning, claiming the life of a 4-month-old baby and destroying properties. Some eyewitnesses attributed the fire to an unattended candle left by the baby's mother. They said they were awakened by the baby's cries, but arrived to find the wooden structure engulfed in flames. Efforts to save the child were unsuccessful. Meanwhile, some victims have disputed the Ghana National Fire Service's claim the firefighters arrived 12 minutes after receiving the distress call, insisting that they got there nearly an hour later. Now, speaking to Citi News, the affected residents appealed to the government for support, saying they have lost everything and have nowhere to go.
Around 4 muhonum yeda ho me dia meti asa akwara bia tiam me pe na eja I heard a child scream around 4 a.m. and came out to check, only to see the house on fire. I screamed for help, but our efforts to douse the flames were unsuccessful. It took a while before fire service officers also arrived.
Yes, I have fire service for almost a mobile. Yes, I try to doom down and doom tea. Baby, I had done in a day what I see in auntie. Fire service for this bedroom and never be ashy.
Rather fortunate, I was at work and I heard that there's a fire flowing and I'm supposed to come and support how it is. But before I get to reach and the fire have already burned this place and there's nothing that we can do. So we try our best as much as possible that we can even do a little bit to try our best to do certain. So rather fortunate we couldn't make it and the whole thing get burned. So we need this, my property, this is one of my auntie's property, and my own too, and this is one of my brother's own. They all born. We have nowhere to go. We are suffering. We have nowhere to go. We need water. Can you imagine that? I would call it 3 months child is dead. The police came to carry the groups and other things to send it away. The mom should have even informed us by rather fortunate. The mom too. She's at the hospital getting treatment. Yeah, he get hurt, but he was just trying to go for the child, but he couldn't make it.
Well, you heard that persons affected by a fire outbreak at Kiseman Airways slum in Accra. Let's take you to the Western region now. And President John Dramani Mahama is continuing his nationwide thank you tour, with visits to the Western and Central regions today and tomorrow. Now, on the first day, he's expected to inspect the abandoned Takoradi Market Circle redevelopment project, which was initiated in late 2020. He will then move to Sekondi, where he will address a debate of chiefs and the people of the Western region to express his gratitude for the National Democratic Congress's landslide victory in the 2024 general elections. Let's go live there now and speak with our correspondent Akwesi Ejeanim. Anim, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. Has the president arrived and which places has he visited?
Well, as you said, the president is actually in town. I understand he came in last night, and today he's carrying out 2 activities here as part of his campaign tour. And the first point of call will be at the Takoradi Market Circle redevelopment project, which has been halted for more than 4 years since the construction began in 2020, before the 2020 election. And from there, we will go to Sekondi to address a debate at the Sekondi Methodist Park, where the representatives of the region are expected to be there to be addressed. And, but as I said, the first point of call will be at the Market Circle. As I speak to you, we are waiting for him at the Market Circle for him to arrive here. He's expected to be here by 1 o'clock. And as I speak, you can see 30 people all around waiting to see. I mean, this is a very important project here. It is the main commerce center of the metropolis and even the Western region, the biggest market here in the Western region. And it's been halted, affecting commerce here in this town. So it's really with the people hearing that the president is adding that to his itinerary here in the Western region. So people are expectant to hear what he'll be saying about the completion of this project, which has been halted since the last 1 year.
Very well. Before I let you go, apart from this market, are there any other concerns that residents are hoping the president will speak to when he comes?
The second one would be the flyover, the Takoradi interchange, which was considered a crime in Kumar about. And that one too has been halted because of the IMF issues. And so that is one major issue that people are waiting to hear on what plans that the president and his new government would have in completing that project. Again, there are a few issues with appointment. People feel the region hasn't actually had any name from the region in terms of the various CEOs who have been appointed. And yesterday, for instance, there were some few agitations. I don't know whether it was because they heard the president was coming here about some party people who were not happy with the fact that they haven't seen any of their people being appointed into any of the CEOship position. Again, the Metro, the MMDC's appointment, the Takoradi candidate was applied to actually be considered for Metropolis as the CEO, his name, I'm told, has been taken off, and so people are not happy and they are waiting to hear what the president will say.
Very well. Thank you so much for speaking with us. That's Akwesi J.N.M. He's our man in the Western region. We'll move on to some other stories now. The General Secretary of the Ghana National Association of Teachers, NAT, Thomas Musa, has criticized the government for its press statement on ongoing negotiations for the 2025 minimum wage. Now, the government recently announced that discussions by the National Tripartite Committee were underway to determine the new minimum wage, after which negotiations on base pay for public sector salaries would begin. However, both processes are behind schedule as they were initially expected to be finalized by April 2024 in line with the Public Financial Management Act. On speaking to City News, Thomas Musa argued that issuing a public statement during negotiations could create unrealistic expectations among workers.
Communicate outcomes and all the processes, because once you are on the table, you cannot put out a figure. That we call it is unfair labor practice. Unfair labor practice. In fact, technically speaking, I shouldn't have commented on it. It's because we have seen a press statement from the Jubilee House on this matter. It shouldn't have been. It shouldn't have been. Normally, at this particular stage, you don't comment on it. You keep it at the table so that when you all agree on what to do, then you go out there and put out the new minimum wage with the country all employers must observe. Felix Liley, he was not at the meeting. He wasn't there. So it shouldn't have gone out. It shouldn't. This information should not have gone out. And normally, even if somebody must comment on it, it should be somebody at the meeting. You see, it should be somebody at the meeting, because these are issues that when we are talking about it, if you don't take time, you will begin to raise the hope, the expectations and aspirations of people, and if you are not able to manage it well, it will backfire.
Well, Thomas Musa further noted that the committee aims to conclude discussions on the minimum wage by end of the week, after which negotiations on base pay will begin.
And after setting the ground rules, the technical committee was constituted. We are hoping that by the close of this week, the minimum wage should be fixed. Then thereafter, we will go ahead and look at the base pay. And we are hoping that all things being equal, by next week also, the base pay should also be done.
You heard the General Secretary of the Ghana National Association of Teachers, Thomas Musa. Before we go, calm has been restored in the Ngamagberu community of the Bunkurugu district in the northeast region following renewed violent clashes earlier today. The residents were forced to flee to neighboring towns as gunfire erupted in the early hours of the morning. The latest incident follows a similar outbreak on January 27, which left 2 people dead and several others injured. Sources say the conflict stems from a long-standing chieftaincy dispute between the Nandok Tabe and Man Tabe clans. Now, residents are calling for urgent security intervention to prevent further violence.
Yes, actually, as we speak now, calm has returned to the area. But around 6:30 in the morning, between 6 to 8:30 thereabout, there were serious gunshots and houses that were left untouched for the first time have all now been touched down in that community. And women and children have deserted the whole place. And in fact, security as we speak is not there. Security is not there. The police, the soldier, they are not there. Military, they are not there currently. But we are praying that wherever or whatever they are doing now, they should do well and come and help the situation. Because the reprisal attacks are just one too many. The reprisal attacks are one too many. In that community, as we speak now, all the people have deserted the community. Women and children are hanging out at relatives and in other communities, and it is not something good. There was one adjoining community to the Gberu community. That community has been burnt down as we speak.
That was a resident of the Ngamagberu community in the Bunkurugu district of the northeast region, bringing us to the end of today's edition of the Citi Prime News, which has been live from our studio in Adabraka, Accra. Log on to citynewsroom.com for more stories. I am Ajuatin Kramadam, and many thanks for your company. Good afternoon.
Citi News, we speak first. Reach our hotline